Hey everybody, how's it going? Steve again. So I just ended my last video because it was so freaking long. Hold on a second. I'm gonna start this timer again. That way, I don't know if it works like that. No, don't do that. Okay. So funny, I've had that timer for over a year and I still barely know how to work it. Alright, so hi everybody. You're making noise, I don't like it. Anyway, this is Steve Underwood. I'm Steve Underwood, and this is my channel, Still Working It Out, comma, Life on the Road. So you've accidentally stumbled upon or somehow chosen to watch me. One, I apologize, but I also thank you. So I apologize because, yeah, that's like what I told my wife when we first started hanging out. I've known her since 1985, and we started hanging out, and I loved her since I was 16. First woman I ever loved. Only woman I ever really loved, apparently, because the other two that I got married to, I knew at the time I didn't love them, but got married to them anyway. They knew I didn't love them. But, you know, we were in a place where we were ready for a change, apparently, together. But I didn't start hanging out with my wife until like 2011. So I loved her from 1985 to 2011, and we were never romantic. She had a boyfriend when I first met her. I was 16, and 2 or 3 years later, she left town with him. They got married, and he joined the army. They got married, and they moved to Alaska. So that was the first thing that ever happened to me where I realized that something was really wrong in my life. I thought that something was really wrong in my life because I couldn't think of, you know, when she moved away, I was 19, but I couldn't think of anybody else. I just couldn't think of anybody else. And she left, and she wasn't mine, and I was never going to see her again. I mean, and I didn't want to pursue her. You know, she got married. That's a sacred thing. It was to me anyway. And so I was lost. I was lost actually for years and years after that. I still got married and divorced twice. She was little known to me. I found out later she got married and divorced twice too. Weirdly enough, neither one of us ever had children. Very weirdly enough. What's the odds on that? Most people have kids. And it wasn't because either one of us couldn't have kids. It's because of timing. You know, my first wife couldn't have kids. Within 2 months of being married to my second wife, I realized, oh man, I fucked up. There's no way I'm having kids with this chick. So I made sure we didn't have kids. And by the time Karen and I got together, we were in our 40s. So a responsible person wouldn't have kids in their 40s because by that time the DNA, I guess, gets fucked up or something, and kids aren't born right oftentimes, most of the time. And I would never ever, like they can do an amniocentesis and tell if a child's got Down syndrome and stuff. And people get abortions when they know that the baby's not going to be perfect. And I would never ever do that. Karen could do that all she wanted to because it's not it's not supposed to be a man's decision whatsoever, in my opinion. But Karen's not the kind of person that would do that either. And so we'd be sentencing a child to live their whole life, whatever that was, potentially with a pretty serious birth defect, simply because we selfishly decided to have a child when we knew it was too late in life to do it. And there are people that have kids well into their 40s, even in their 50s, but it's not smart. The statistics are, hi guys, birds. The statistics are that far too many people in their 40s that have children that with malfunctions in their DNA, basically. Like, it's okay, kid. Birds, they fly up here and eat bird seeds in the morning and stuff, and they're like, what the hell? There's this guy on the porch, which is my porch. But anyway, by the way, I came out here this morning because I have to go to the doctor in like an hour, but so we're good. I got my coffee. See my big cup of coffee? I've got a couple of friends from England, and they think it's hilarious that how we drink coffee cup, you know, this big. You know, it's like 3 of those cups is one coffee pot. But my theory is I'm just lazy. I don't want to go back inside and have to report. So in my last video, this is a part 2, by the way. So like and subscribe, by the way. It helps. In case you do like my stuff, you'll see it, you know, when it'll pop up in your feed. Apparently YouTube likes it when people like and subscribe. The other thing is if you don't hit like, it's your way of letting YouTube know, the algorithm, which is the point of it actually, is to let them know this isn't your thing. You really prefer fishing videos or something, or people with character, you know, they look nice, or maybe they're pretty or whatever. I don't have any of that going on, and I don't fish anymore, so I used to fish. But anyway, the idea is if it's something that you're not interested in, don't like it. You know, don't hit like. When you hit like, it tells YouTube to send you stuff just like it in the future. Because when I'm posting video, there's a whole bunch of stuff I have to choose. Like, is it educational? Is it entertainment? You know, all that kind of stuff. And a whole bunch of those choices go into YouTube's decision to send you information, send you videos and stuff like that. So hit like and subscribe. Most important to me though is comment. Please comment. You know, the basic stuff. Tell me your name, like your first name even, and where you're at, right? I just would like to see who all, you know, sees it. And the other thing is, any suggestions, anything you want me to talk about. It's shocking how much I know, the variety of how much shit I know. So I'm happy to discuss it with you, you know, or talk, or if you're a young person that wants to know some shit, you know, I know some shit. So it's kind of like that one guy in that one TV show. He said, my job is I drink and I know stuff. It's me. I don't really drink that much anymore. I do drink a little, but not much. But I still somehow know stuff. I don't know, weird. So the next thing I talked about a paper I wrote and posted it on Substack. The paper is called Donald Trump's Connection with the KGB and the SVR is what I put on there. So that's the title on Substack, Donald Trump's Connection with the KGB and SVR. Really, it's about a bunch of research I've done for about a year, and put it all together finally. I mean, I've been writing it down, but finally put it into something I can post or present. And I put it on Facebook, which is a dumb place to put it. It's too long. And then I posted it on Substack. I'm just, you know, I don't want any credit for it necessarily. I'm not looking for money or anything like that. What I'm looking for is people to see it and to kind of open their eyes to possibilities, because I've got a very clear path that the KGB took in the late 70s, early 80s with Donald Trump, and then with Jeffrey Epstein and a bunch of other people too. Those are just the both highest profile ones now. But it was the KGB doing what the KGB does. A lot of people that aren't involved in American intelligence operations, or just intelligence operations in general, all Western intelligence, and that includes Mossad, okay? Even though they're Middle Eastern, I consider them Western. They're one of the top intelligence agencies in the world, but they know this too, that the KGB they didn't start military intelligence, but they refined it, they honed it to a razor's edge. During the Cold War, everybody else was trying to play catch up with them. We did some things that they didn't see coming, which was awesome. But there's been a big brain trust. I mean, people always talk about the stupid stuff. Like some shithead in the CIA one time recommended to the president to blow up the moon because that would scare the Soviets, fucking scare everybody because it would ruin the Earth. But whatever. Mossad is a really well penetrating company, meaning that they group they have agents everywhere. They have people that look like Joe Schmo, some school teacher, somebody's mom, whatever, everywhere. And their number one thing that they're known for in the intelligence community is kill squads. They have what you see in the movies and stuff is is nowhere near reality. The reality is fucking amazing, and I don't know everything. I just know bits of information that I've collected over the years, all from biographies and news reports and stuff like that. Books that I've read that aren't fiction. But our SEAL Team 6 and Delta Force are comparable to them. We have a much bigger operation than they do. Mossad has access to not everything, but most everything we have access to. And that's because of a situation that's been happening since 1948. But our relationship with Israel. They do not have access to everything. Our training's not the same. Mossad's great and top-notch that way. America has spooky shit. I'm just telling you. The stuff you've seen in Star Trek and in sci-fi and stuff like that, some of it's not something we have because some of it's just wild. It's crazy. It's crazy how wild it is. Some of it's stuff that we exactly have, in sci-fi, things that you wouldn't imagine, things that I don't know about, things that I knew about at one time, but it was a very long time ago that I knew about this stuff. So I know for a fact how shit progresses. Northrop Grumman and companies like that, they don't stop advancing. And there's a whole group of those guys that are contractors. They're becoming wealthy, and America's happy to pay them because if you can imagine it, it's been developed. I can tell you one thing that has not been developed, and this I know for sure, is we cannot teleport people yet. It's coming though. We're working on it. I know that. We cannot teleport people. So there's some crazy shit out there. Anyway, so Mossad's awesome. I mean, not awesome. Mossad's extremely capable. The United States is still in the lead because we just pay the money to do it. And the SAS, which is the British, Special Air Service, they're high end. They're like Delta Force. Some of them, a faction of them. The German Special Forces is known as being incredibly effective. I don't know how they are in the intelligence arena. I have no experience with that in them and stuff, but I can picture easily, like a lot of people can. But the Soviet Union's KGB, they took the psychology part of intelligence work, and boy, I'll tell you what, all of the world's intelligence communities were trying to keep up with them or trying to figure out how they did something. during when they were the Soviet Union, they weren't the cutting edge. They were what the cutting edge was thinking about being. You know, they were always arriving at things faster than everybody else. I'm surprised we got to the moon first, frankly, as effective as KGB was. Well, this is all in regards to that paper I wrote. It's called Donald Trump's connection with the KGB and the SVR. So anyway, on to the next subject. So I got home about 2 weeks ago. I was in Baton Rouge, and Karen's working down there. That's why we were there. My wife, she goes around, and it's funny. About I don't know, a little over a year ago, I started a company called Sunshine Home Cleaners LLC, and it's an extremely innovative, one of a kind business. There's not a business that does anything in the service industry that's like it in the entire world that I know of. And but at the very last minute, which it's all well established and it's all a company now and stuff. But at the very last minute before I could launch it, while I was trying to launch it, I realized that even though my bachelor's degree is in marketing, I realized that I was not going to be able to market it and launch it in a marketing way that would be effective because of a couple of things. One, that my ability to get like an answering service, to get them to schedule things and stuff, that was going to be prohibitively expensive. I was going to need some serious money to get that launched, just for that part of it alone. And then that the digital marketing that I was trying to get off the ground, I was using my alarm. I was using social media and by hand, myself personally, throwing advertisements out, and it was not being effective at all. I even delved a little into local marketing on the West Coast in Oregon, where I was at, because that's where I want to start it, in Eugene, Oregon, and have it go up and down the I-5 corridor for various reasons. But part of it is because they have an economy that is doing well. There's a lot of people that have more money than they need, right? And when you're talking about a cleaning service, somebody comes in and cleans your home, that's an important thing, because a lot of people will just clean their own place. But my company is focused on, we'll do that too, obviously, but on, there's this giant, because of the baby boomer generation that's now elderly, there's adult children living all over the country that have moved away for work, which is the most common thing that have to happen these days. Some people stay at home, where they grew up or whatever. Some people have to move for family. The husband gets a job someplace, the wife gets a job someplace, and so they have to move. Or they get offered this really great job opportunity, but it's 2,000 miles away. Happens a lot. And my family went through this, where that suddenly my mother, who was elderly, didn't live around any of the kids, even though she had 5 kids. And it was becoming difficult for her to take care of her place, And so what a lot of people are doing is, they're downsizing, and they're moving to assisted living and things like that. Well, that stuff's not cheap. One of the things I did in my past was I managed some assisted living communities, and I saw that firsthand. People were paying $4,000 or $5,000 a month for an apartment, a regular little itty bitty apartment, but they were getting, of course, 3 meals a day food service, and it was luxurious, and stuff. And they had to hire for my company, they had to hire their own medical people. We didn't do any of that. We facilitated it, but we didn't. They didn't work for us. So it was an outside. We weren't. Basically, it protected my company from the liability of medical mistakes, and any medical malpractice type of lawsuits and stuff. But anyway, it's just, I realized in this period, and then when my mom was alone, and then she began to show signs of dementia, and we were powerless. We had some really, really bad luck that way with her physician, her personal physician that she'd had for a long time, gynecologist, who didn't trust my sister and I when we said, hey, she's showing the signs of dementia, and we need you to test her because she needs to get some, like assisted living or memory care or something. And my mom, like a lot of dementia people, told this doctor she had for a long time. She was a very good doctor as far as I knew, but she told this doctor that we were ganging up on her and trying to commit her to, and so this doctor took this woman that had been, her friendly patient for a long, long time, and believed her over my sister and I, who were the only people at the time who were local. And I moved. I didn't want to move back here, but I moved back here where my mom lived because my wife's people were here. She was happy to move back, but my mom needed help, and we were starting to worry, and it was time to start getting more involved. But then we couldn't. There were certain things we couldn't do because the doctor did not believe us, believe it or not. My mom's dementia got really serious, actually, before the doctor decided to believe us. And it was, this is going to sound crazy, but the doctor didn't believe us. She wouldn't even test her. That doctor didn't know a damn thing about dementia, apparently, because my mom was really showing it, to us anyway. And then my mom drove into the Mississippi River in December. She was in her little town that she had lived in for, 30 years. In the, 9 o'clock at night or something like that, decided she wanted to go to have dinner somewhere at a particular restaurant. It was foggy, a little bit foggy. So she's driving around town, street lights are out. But she wasn't able to see perfectly, and wasn't using a lot of great sense because part of dementia. And so this doctor, and it had been long since time for us to take her bank account away from her and her driver's license. She was giving money like crazy, like she didn't have money enough to do it, to stuff like this one Ellen DeGeneres that called her, who happened to be a guy and had a Spanish accent. I'm like, Mom, Ellen DeGeneres is a woman. You know that, right? No, it's probably a woman, but she just sounds, she's got, kind of a deep voice. I said, well, you watch Ellen on TV every day. Does Ellen have a deep voice? She said, well, no. She said she might talk differently on the phone, though. And she says she's Ellen. I'm like, and she said, well, she does have a kind of a Hispanic accent. I said, well, Mom, Ellen doesn't have a Hispanic accent. But Mom was like, well, she does claim to be, and she knows a lot about Ellen. So how would she know those things? It wasn't her. I mean, it was ridiculous. And she was giving her, she gave her $2,000 and stuff like that, just because this scammer was asking for it, And so it was time for us to take her bank account away from her, because she was going to wind herself up in a situation where she didn't have enough money to live. And then of course she was driving still, and she had to take a walker out to her car. She would leave the walker by the sidewalk, and got stolen. Eventually we replaced it twice. But this one night she was driving around on the other side of town and trying to find this one particular restaurant, and said it was foggy. She didn't realize that she was on the wrong street. Then she didn't realize she was driving in gravel, and then she didn't realize she drove past these two big walls that have a door that closed during high water, and then didn't realize that she just drove into the Mississippi River off a boat ramp with ice floating all around her because it was December. But realized there was a problem once she couldn't make the car go anymore, and then once her feet started getting wet, and called 911, was sitting there buckled in her car still. Pure luck that 911 dispatcher sent out ambulances to find her, and that one of them arrived at the right boat ramp because they pieced it together that she was in the water, in the river, and an EMT swam out to her car. She was like 100 feet from out into the river, from the boat dock. It wasn't in a current yet, thankfully, but there was ice floating all around her. And this EMT was a brave son of a bitch. Nighttime, swimming in that water with ice floating around in the middle of the night. I'm telling you right now, that could have killed him. I used to work on the Mississippi River, I know. And rescued her. When he got the door open and got the seatbelt undone, she was up to here with water, trying to go like this to speak. So I'm telling you, like, you know, when we went through kind of a nightmare on the whole taking care of mom thing. But it gave me some ideas later down the road that I realized that if somebody lived on the West Coast, say, like I did when I first started this, and their parent was elderly, and you know, their parent doesn't necessarily have the money, or maybe they're from that generation where they don't waste money, they still remember the Depression or whatever, or what their parents remember from the Depression, so they don't hire somebody to clean. My God, my mom would rather die than hire somebody to clean something she could do herself, which she could not do anymore. She used a walker. How are you going to vacuum with a walker? But anyway, so if you could hire somebody to go in and clean, not just go in and clean, but it always teams of two. That way you know that there's supervision for each other. People are less likely to do things that they shouldn't do, like steal, which a lot of old people have that real big paranoia, about somebody, the maid stealing from them or whatever. It's a dementia thing usually. But then the person has been hired by their kids. Like maybe if you have, like my family, we could have gotten the kids together and said, hey, listen, we're all gonna pitch in and pay to have mom's house cleaned once a week, and house cleaning can be expensive. I know that. I've seen it before. I had no idea until I started researching this, and then I found out I was shocked how much it could cost. About 90% of all housekeepers that you can hire are mom and pop, meaning it's just them working there. Or there's like 3 people working in the company, 9 times out of 10 they're sisters or cousins or something like that. So, lack of professionalism, a lack of consistency. The difference between a regular breakfast restaurant and McDonald's back in the day, they used to make the same good quality food as everybody else, but you could, no matter where you were, you could count on it. Well, with our company, we'd be online. A person from the West Coast could call to have somebody clean their house in Iowa, as a for instance, And when that person would go there, they'd already have a profile of my mom, of a mom, whatever, somebody's parent, of what they like and don't like, and even there's like a buffet of features, of tasks that can be chosen. Mom, won't like somebody doing this or doing that, or only needs somebody to do this and do this and do this. So they can basically choose what they're paying for by choosing the features that would be taken care of, the tasks that would be done, emptying the garbage, doing the dishes, washing, cleaning the bathroom, whatever, all those things. Hi, kid. Hi, baby kid. It's one of our random outside kitties. Hello, kid. You're a good boy. It's an orange kitty. I'll show him to you. I won't move. He's going to get scared if I do. You want to have some food? It's breakfast time, You don't have to worry about what... Oh, I see. He sees a light that I got maybe shining off my watch. It's okay, man. Anyway, where the team that shows up there, first off, they like their job because we intend to pay well over scale. Everywhere we have people, well over scale. So it won't be a job that you think of typically being a housekeeper. It won't be a low-paying job. It'll also have benefits, good benefits. It'll be a good job. You know, maybe not like being a lawyer or a doctor, but it'll be a good job. And at the same time, it won't cost so much because of that only rich people have access to it. It'll be something that legitimately it's okay. Everybody has access to it. It'll cost less, much less than currently what's available, right? And currently what's available is, again, unprofessional, mom and pop outfits, very inconsistent. You never know they're 9 times out of 10, they're a retired person that just wants something to do. So how long are they going to keep doing that? I don't know. But if you have a service with us, it's going to stay forever. Even if the team changes eventually because people move on to a different job or whatever, it'll be the same exact kind of service every time. And they'll know, there'll be notes been made about what the person likes and doesn't like. The tasks that are done that are and they're important. So there's a system of being comfortable. Okay, people like their job. They won't hate their job. If they don't like their job, they won't be doing it. There'll be good enough supervision, and where that's the case. It'll be inexpensive enough where that everybody can afford it. We'll just make up for it in volume. Okay, we'll take a smaller profit margin and we'll make up for it in volume. I believe that the better business you build, the more likely people are to want your business and to find you. So not only am I going to do a good business, I'm going to market it properly. But what makes us really different, so that's already a business that I would want to hire, okay, that would do those things, that would have those things. But I've said for a long time, since I've started thinking about this business, that I want to start a business that will change the world. And it's not going to change the whole world. It's going to be a drop in the bucket, maybe even half a drop. But I'm telling you right now, I've seen buckets fill up by a faucet that's dripping. Okay? So anybody that's ever had a leaky roof knows exactly what I'm talking about. My company is going to do really, really good service, and it's going to charge less forever. And we're still going to make it because we're going to make up for it by volume, because people are going to it's a thing that one feeds the other, And here's what's going to make it really different for the customer. When the appointment is set up, there will be a bunch of stuff checked and a thing written by the customer about their elderly parent or their relative or their neighbor, whatever it is, whoever's hiring us. It's somebody that cares about them. And things to watch for, so that the team that goes in, one, they're going to talk to the person like a friend. They're going to be respectful. They're going to be kind. They're going to take pictures of before pictures and after pictures of every single task done, so that whoever hired them will know, and that'll be online in the receipt, part of the receipt online. And so they'll always know that the job was done well. They'll always know that mom's being taken care of, that mom's living in a clean place. And what's more is the lead person involved will look in the cupboards and take a picture. We'll look in the fridge and take a picture. We'll look in the medicine cabinet, take a picture, things like that, so that they know mom has enough stuff. Her cupboards are stocked. Her fridge has got healthy food in it. The medicine cabinet's not empty. Where that mom has what she needs, right? And then as a last bit of the receipt, it'll be a voicemail from the lead person about, hey, I just saw your mom, cleaned her place, and she was talking about her neighbor was going to come over, stop by later, and she showed me a picture of your kids, and talked about the whole time your son's graduating. Talked about that the whole time I was there. And I checked in the fridge, everything's stocked up, got healthy food in there. I looked in the cupboard, she looks like she's all stocked up. We got plenty of meals. I looked in the freezer, it's got plenty of frozen meals in there. And everything was great. So, or the other way around, they could say the same thing. Hey, you might want to think about, calling Walmart and having Walmart deliver some things to her, and that maybe you choose so that she has good things, good for her things. And just little stuff, little involvement like that. So then they get to be far away and still have some really good, important contact with their mom. Not just what their mom wants them to know, but that their mom's actually okay. That's what's going to be different about my company. I am going to change the world. I'm going to be a little piece of it anyway. So that's that bit. When I got back to Louisiana or back to Iowa, I had to get, I had to go to the DMV and get my new CDL. I got my CDL, or my Class A CDL. I already have Class B, but I had to get a new Class A CDL in Louisiana while Karen and I were there. And to get a Class A CDL, you have to get a DOT physical. They have to make sure that you're physically fit to be able to drive a semi, because it's a big safety thing. So I got one down there. It was a big cluster, because Louisiana is just a very disorganized governmentally disorganized state. I had to get 2 physicals down there, and then, I had to pay for 2 physicals. I had to get 1 physical, and then that physician's assistant sent me to get my eyes checked because she could swear I had no peripheral vision, even though I explained what she did wrong. She just couldn't imagine how that worked. Then the eye doctor said, no, your peripheral vision's perfect. And he had to sign a big document saying that my vision was great and easily qualified. So then I had to take that back to them. They didn't have any more of the documentation. They had the documentation that it was done, but they didn't have the documentation that it was paid for. It was only $85, but I had to repay for it again. So it's 2 physicals. And then I had to go back to the eye doctor and pay for that again. Even though I had a receipt, I still had to, from them on me, I didn't have, it was something. So I had to pay for that visit again. So I had to pay for 2 physicals and 2 eye exams to get this one DOT physical. And other states where I've had a CDL, they give you a plastic physical card, a DOT physical card. So if you ever get pulled over, you have to present your license, but you also have to present an up-to-date physical card. And I have diabetes, which means so I have to get it done once a year, which is still good. But if it expires, your driver's license is no good at that point, for a DOT, like driving a truck. So when I got up to Iowa to go and get to get my job that I'm going to get for the next 5 years, so I can get that business started, I've got to present so I had to change my state ID state. So no problem. They did all the paperwork, and I have every thing except for a hazmat endorsement, which I do not want, and because I don't need to drive gasoline trucks, because I don't want to be barbecued ever, if I can help it. But I have all the other endorsements, and so I got all that together, and then she needed to see my DOT physical card, and I'm like, sure, no problem. They don't give a card in Louisiana. They give just like a printer paper, like a piece of paper with a picture of it from it's crap. But she goes, oh, Louisiana, yeah, we don't accept that. And I'm like, shocker. So I have to go get another DOT physical in Iowa, where they issue you a card and then it's accepted. It's nothing to do with the card or paper versus thing. It's because it's Louisiana has been found by the DOT apparently to be fraudulent or giving them out like candy. So yeah, Iowa doesn't accept them as readily as everybody else. So that's the next thing. Also, I want to tell you guys about something I just found out about, which is not new, but it's new to me. It's something about your physical health, and it's called 30-30-30. It's within 30 minutes of waking up, you take 30 grams of protein, and then spend 30 minutes a brisk walk or like a bike ride, something that's supposed to get your blood, your heart rate up. But now you're not supposed to be doing like crazy aerobic exercise. It's supposed to be aerobic exercise, but your heart rate can't go over 135, which is actually pretty fucking easy. It's just a brisk walk. So if you do that, that is apparently, according to some health guru, the fastest way to get viscous fat off your body. And it's just those three things: 30-30-30. 30 minutes after, within 30 minutes of waking up, you get 30 grams of protein powder, basically, and then you spend 30 minutes doing a brisk walk or a bike ride or a brisk walk on a treadmill even. Oh, and by the way, I've recently started using Claude, the AI. I've been using ChatGPT for 6 months at least, but I just started using Claude. In fact, I've been using ChatGPT for a year, and I just started using Claude and ChatGPT, and I found that Claude is better for writing tasks. So I highly recommend. I've got ChatGPT Plus, which I pay $20 a month for a membership, an account or whatever, and it gives you way better. I had the free one before that. It was frustrating, but once you start paying, they give you paying the $20 a month. They give you a bump in like to a better version of it, I guess, and it's fantastic. I went to Claude because something was happening with my ChatGPT account for a moment that it pissed me off, and I heard about Claude, so I did the same thing with Claude. I paid $20 a month there, or $14, I can't remember. And it's actually just as good as ChatGPT, except that it's the one to go to if you want it to examine your a writing task you're doing. It's a better author basically than ChatGPT is, but ChatGPT is pretty close. They're both excellent. They're worth it to keep it $40 a month or whatever it is for both of them, and so I use both of them pretty consistently every single day for different things. So anyway, I'm going to end this video now. This was a part 2, and it's at 42 minutes now, so call it good. My goal usually is to do 30 minutes, but the last one was longer than an hour, and this one's damn near an hour, so I'm going to kill it. So here, I'm going to leave you with this. The channel I've got here is still working it out, called The Life on the Road. If you like and subscribe, you'll see my stuff pop up once in a while, like I said. But 2 things. I always kind of end my videos by telling you, basically, don't give up. Life can be shit at times. Life can be real shit at times. The joke is, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. If your shit is not going to plan, it's not just you. It's everybody, me especially. But it's not a me world, it's an us world. And if things have got you down, maybe you've got some mild depression, maybe you've got heavy-duty depression, I deal with depression and anxiety. It's a chemical imbalance. And I also have PTSD, which exacerbates that. I found a medication a long time ago that was designed originally for the VA because of Vietnam vets, which I've been taking for at least 20 years, 25 years, something like that. and it's worked wonders. It's called Effexor. Effexor. It's spelled EFFEXOR, and that's the brand name of it. The clinical name is called venlafaxine. I take one of those a day, and it makes me not want to choke people. Yeah. So, but back to depression. Our brains are pattern recognition machines. I used to think they were logic machines. Science thought that, but science has changed its mind on that, and it makes sense to me. That we recognize patterns, and when life is being shitty, we want to know why. When life has us down, we want to know why. It might be because we have a chemical imbalance. We just need some coffee. Who knows? But our brain wants to know why, so it starts to find reasons. And it goes back as far as it takes until it finds something that you've done wrong. You know, a decision that you made wrong. Divorce. Something you did that wasn't nice to your kid. You robbed a liquor store once when you were 18. Who knows what it was, right? Your brain will find faults. Every wrong mistake, every bad decision I ever made pops up. I've got this reel in my head that just runs when I'm down, okay, about how I deserve it, basically, and how I'm an idiot. And I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree, no doubt, but I'm not an idiot, and I'm kind, generally, and I do a lot of good things. And when that reel is running, though, that doesn't exist. I think of myself as the worst human being. It's really nice for me to look at other people and say, I'm not that bad, at least, but I'm nowhere near as bad as some of those people, you know. I'm actually pretty good in a lot of ways, but my brain will not let me think of that way, because I want to find reasons why things are going bad. And sometimes depression can get bad enough to where that and life can kick you in the face, and you know, you might even think about just going to sleep for the rest ever, for eternity. Let it be over. That's a terrible idea. Don't let it happen. I don't know about you, but I've gone through some really shitty stuff in my time, and I've almost taken myself out on purpose. You know, almost. I never did it and accidentally didn't do it well enough and all that kind of stuff. If I would have done it, it would have worked. But I chose not to. So I'm going to end this like I usually end them. I say, don't give up. Don't give up. Every single thing we ever do, I've learned this in my life, every single thing we ever do is for a reason. And I actually believe that we're living a program. You know, our existence is our existence, but it's some really higher form than us, of a living being that's like us compared to an ant, you know? And we can think of all kinds of things that are smaller than us, you know, all the way from germs and mitochondria, you know, all the way up to, you know, cats and dogs, right? But the idea of us thinking that we're the top dog, you know, just because we don't know what's above us, you know, the bigger thing, you know, it's just dumb. It's just dumb as not recognizing that there's such a thing as people. And an ant in its entire life could easily never see a human being, you know, and it might die of old age that way, you know. But that's us too, I think. We're living somebody else's creation. Whether you want to call that God, or whether you want to realize it's just another living being like we are, just a different kind, and something that's much, much more old than we are. It's been talked about by scientists, really high-end scientists, that that our universe that we know of is a bubble, okay? And they believe that we're basically in a bubble bath, and there's bubbles all around us. Imagine a glass of beer. You're looking at it and all the bubbles going up, or a bubble bath, or washing the dishes and all the bubbles. That we're one of billions and billions and billions, possibly trillions of bubbles. And in our natural history, as far back as we can have recorded evidence, that bubble hasn't popped. You know, and when the world ends, one day it shall. When the universe ends, one day it will. Everything has a beginning and everything has an end. Just because we don't know about it, exactly what it is. You know, we know about the Big Bang, we don't know what caused it. We don't know what happened before that. People like to say God because they don't know what happened, and it's easier to say this magical being. Who is this magical being? Isn't he just possibly just another life form like us, but way bigger, way older? Anyway, that's the idea. I'm not the only person that's ever come up with that. I'm just repeating it from some of the smartest people in the world. My whole point of this is we don't have free will. If the joke about if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan, the reason is because the program's already been written, and every blade of grass, every hair on your head, every piece of dust in the air around you is all exactly supposed to be there. It was written by a mind that's so far beyond ours we can't even picture what it is, much less what's in its mind. You've never made a mistake in your life. As wrong as you've been about something here and there, you've never ever made a mistake. So you're trying really hard. Life needs you to do certain things. Sometimes life needs you to take one for the team because something around you won't work if you don't. Sometimes people die around you, people you love, children. And those things had to happen because they were part of the program. And those things had to happen because they made other things happen. That's the only way to make sense of any of it, in my opinion. And I've been thinking about this in great detail for quite some time. So don't hold yourself responsible for everything you think you've ever done wrong. You're not responsible for that stuff. You were going to make those mistakes no matter what. You've never been lost in your life. You've always been exactly where you were supposed to be. Every single thing that's ever happened to you, a lot of things you don't even know about, have steered you in the direction you're in, where you're at right now, on the path you're on right now. Just don't give up. Don't give up. It gets better. It gets better. And giving up doesn't do anything but hurt people around you forever. I mean, you killing yourself could hurt a great-great-grandchild because they later say, well, my great-great-grandma killed themselves. Maybe it's in my blood. I've heard people say that shit. Don't do that. Don't be that selfish. Don't hurt people like that. You know, I mean, my God, what about the people that love you, that are around you? You think they're not going to suffer? Even the guy that comes to collect you. Every time that person sees a person that was so sad, they killed themselves. It's like when Robin Williams killed himself. That hurt me deeply. It still hurts, and it was years and years ago. To imagine that guy was suffering that bad that he had to hang himself with his wife in the next room. How bad can you have it that you don't care about the people around you? Or like in Robin Williams' case, the millions of people that you've made laugh over the years. Now all that. I can't watch his movies anymore. I haven't been ever since he killed himself. Don't kill yourself. There's too much of that going on. In fact, do what I'm doing. Tell people not to kill themselves. Tell people you care about them. Ask people how they're doing. Sometimes they just need that smile, that one smile from a stranger on the sidewalk, and they're like, oh shit, maybe life's not that bad. You know? Be a helper. Be a helper. Help people. You don't go crazy. You don't got to give them all your money. Help people. Whenever you can get a chance, help people. It's the best thing you'll ever do in your whole life. And yeah, you'll be just doing what the program told you to do. But at the same time, wouldn't it be a better program? Wouldn't you be a better character in that program if you were a helper? or if you're some dick. Who would you rather be? A helper? A helper or a killer? You know, a helper or a child molester? Would you rather be a helper or, Donald Trump? Be a helper. Help people. And don't give up. You guys have a great day, and I love you all. And like and subscribe and comment. Tell me to fuck off. Whatever. It's all good. Have a good day, guys.